Hey, new viewers, you're about to see the cleanest, clearest, and perhaps the sexiest charts in all of crypto YouTube. Let me show you what we're going to cover today. Harry Potter cloak, boom. We're going to start off with the long-term time frames dating back to the 20K top of 2017. And then we are going to zoom out of this midterm time frame chart that you can see here. It's clearly labeled Bitcoin on the 4-hour. I will show you what all of these horizontals and other non-horizontals, descending and ascending lines mean once we're fully zoomed out, and then we'll zoom back in to show you the huge significance of two things on this chart. I mean, this is where the analysis really is going to lie. The two arrows labeled macro bearish and worse than the death cross. And then if I feel the need after those analyses, we can zoom in on what's happening structurally on the micro time frame. So hold on to your panties. Let's go get some Bitcoin. You ready? Boom. Long-term time frames. You could see my lo-fi girl with the background music. That's what I use here. Okay, so we are on the weekly. Take a look at the text box that I am dragging back and forth here. It says the weekly 10 and 21 EMAs are going to bearishly cross. It has a 100% historical strong bearish reaction, ranging from between a 25 to 65% drop from the EMA cross itself. Not from any top, not from any wick high, not from a high weekly closure, but from the actual cross. To give you an idea of this, so far it's 100% hit rate, but Bitcoin is a fairly young asset. So therefore, it doesn't have to play out just because it's historically 100% hit rate. I want to be very clear with that. However, what it does mean is that the chance of this playing out within this large range of 25 to 65% drop from this cross that we're staring at, right? And we can see it a lot more clearly on this chart. It is getting ready to cross. Does it cross then price drops immediately? No. Sometimes price drops way before it and V-shapes back up into it before it crosses and then explodes up. That's what Bitcoin did, I think, around, was it April, when it dipped down to 19,700, just under 20K? An important EMA cross almost happened because price tanked before it crossed, and right before that, this is getting ready to flip red, that cross, I think it was on the daily, it avoided the cross. So it doesn't have to actually cross down because it technically has not closed yet. Is that making sense? And I am using, if you want to get real, so if you wanted to see how to get really fancy with EMAs, because you're an EMA person, joining the community for EMA people would probably who rely on EMAs quite a bit. The links to the community are in the description section and pinned in the top comment. However, if you want to get really fancy and know how to use EMAs a little bit better, here's one example. I'm on the 4-hour chart. So to get a very precise weekly 10, which is the 4-hour 420, coincidentally, and the weekly 21, which is the 4-hour 882, per my math this morning. I haven't triple checked it. This is what it looks like. But if you put on the straight up weekly 10 and straight up weekly 21 on the 4-hour chart down here, then it looks like they already crossed. But this is more precise and they haven't quite crossed yet. And again, the timing of this exact cross doesn't mean that's when things capitulate. It's just in general. Within some window, let's say 10 days on each side, from the cross 10 days before, from the cross 10 days after. That's the range that you can expect this to happen. Okay, this move. And again, although it has a 100% hit rate in the past, does not mean it's going to happen this time. It only means that it's very likely. It's way more than 50% likely, but it is not 100%. All right, so from this cross, I mean, I could just probably measure it from right where it is because it's getting ready to cross. So to hit the bottom of the origin channel, and I can, zoom out for everybody so you can see what this is. This is the origin channel, and this has not been hit since Bitcoin was $2. $2. The same line that if Bitcoin were to go down 35% on this macro channel because of this cross, that same macro line has not been hit since Bitcoin was $2. Pretty damn low. And the coronavirus almost used the current macro line that is now resistance, this entire calendar year of 2023, it nearly used it as support. And now it's flipped to straight up resistance. And this downturn, it looks like so a 35% drop would still be a macro higher low. And most altcoins would make their lowest low outside of some that had a 400% run from the new year, stuff like Matic and other low caps and mid caps. Even Trias is a micro cap or a low cap. It had a nasty run up. It probably would make a higher low macro wise as well. But the vast majority of altcoins, if Bitcoin were to make a 35% low, listen to what I'm saying. The vast majority of altcoins, whether you chest pounded or not, okay, unless it did from the new year of January of 2023, if it didn't do something like a 300+% run within 2023 from January to whatever its local top is, then it's probably going to make a lower low in price. The lowest low that it's seen this whole cycle, lower than 2022, lower than 2021, it would be the lowest low of this cycle. So if you are DCAing into altcoins, remember, 100% historical bearish reaction, meaning it's very statistically likely to happen. However, it hasn't crossed yet, but it's very, very close. So what you do with this information, am I telling you to sell everything? No, it hasn't. It technically hasn't crossed. And sometimes, but at the same rate, sometimes before it crosses, that's when it starts tanking. And this crosses as it's already tanking because people front run that. Right? So you have to I can't hit buy and sell for you. Nor would I want to, and nor am I suggesting what to do. I'm giving you information. What you do with it is up to you. All right. If somewhere on the lower end of the 100% historical strong bearish reaction from this weekly cross plays out, assuming it crosses, which it has not yet, on the lower end, to hit that same macro origin, bottom of the macro channel, dating back from when Bitcoin was $2 and hasn't been hit since, that would only be 33% drop down. And that would be a macro higher low just under 18K. Many times in channels, whether you're on a 5-minute chart or not, so let's say a 5-minute chart looks like this, many times price likes to, kind of a crappy example, many times, if you're in a channel like this, and you break down out of a channel, you look left within a reasonable time frame, like on the same screen for that time frame. And whatever most prominent horizontal that you see, you make a line there, and the price of crypto generally has a chance to go touch that and jump back into that channel on its first or second try. If it can't do it on the first, second try, then it ain't getting back in, just historically. It's not a 0% chance, but it's historically not going to happen. That's for all time frames, whether you're trading the 15-second chart on stocks or crypto or whatever you're trading, which I would not recommend that in current time because there's not enough volatility or liquidity. No, there's enough liquidity on Bitcoin for us to trade, but not enough volatility. So this is a macro channel, the most macro channel possible on Bitcoin. It can fall out of there, and you look left on this time frame, the most prominent horizontal is, for sure, between 10K and 12K. That is how channels work, no matter the time frame. I cannot stress this enough. So the fact that so listen to what I'm saying, especially new viewers, where seeing this stuff is just not fun for you. I understand. And especially if you have bought coins, you don't want this to happen, right? But ask yourself, so if you're that person and you're like, I'm going to turn this channel off because as a new viewer, I'm not going to go back because he's not saying what I want to say. Okay, if that's you, but you have to listen to what I'm about to say. Or I will reach through the screen and slap you while you're sleeping. I promise I'll try. Ask yourself this question. If that's you, I don't like what he's saying. 2 questions. Are you sure that you don't feel that way because you've bought altcoins? Or a better question for that first one is, would you feel the same if you hadn't bought any, or hadn't bought and are holding altcoins now? Because if you haven't bought them yet, you would love for them to come down so you can buy them lower, right? But you've already bought them, so you don't want this to happen, and that's creating a bias. The second, most likely, right? The second thing is the fact that you have bought altcoins already. Does that influence Bitcoin's price? No. So if that's one of the most common ways that channels are broken, you look left on that time frame, or that's left, and that's where it comes. And on my channel for returning viewers, this is what I call yellow triangles. Okay, this is where it floats in the air. It's floating like a plastic bag in the air. Okay, yellow triangle, right? It would create it but for new viewers, I guess that's my yellow triangle theory. And it doesn't matter what time frame. This is the longest channel that Bitcoin has because it goes back to the beginning of price. But this is how it works. I wish I didn't have it prepared. I wanted to show you the most recent 8-month channel that Bitcoin fell out of, and it could not get back into it. Should we do it? Yeah, I want to do this. I want to show you. So this is the most macro channel. Let me show you an 8-month channel that just recently got broken, and we had a yellow triangle, and then it broke down from there. Let me go. Can't remember what the hell chart I had it on. I did not have this planned to talk about, but so if you're, as I'm fumbling around here with my charts, I need you all to, like, for people who have already bought stuff and you want things to go up, you have to identify the fact that you have bought stuff already. A, is probably making you not see the potential for downside clearly, and B, it does not change where Bitcoin's gonna go. Like, it doesn't change analysis and probabilities. So please keep that in mind. Son of a gun. Nope, I'm not going to be able to do it. All right, well, here we go. So now that we know what's happening there, now let's go to the midterm time frame. Okay, so the trend on the weekly just broke on Sunday at 8 p.m. New York time, this previous Sunday. So zoom back into this macro chart. I want to show you this week right here, this very, very last week, closed below the weeks of June 5th and Monday, June 12th. The weekly uptrend is now broken. It's not a downtrend. It will be a downtrend if a lower high is put in at some point and a confirmed lower high. But right now, it's a weekly no trend. And that is very, 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 very significant on the macro scale. Not only do you, and could that be a fake out to the downside? Absolutely. Absolutely. However, I don't know if there are tons of weekly downtrend fake outs. In general. Yeah, I mean, typically the trend of the weekly is just simply paramount. So that is a macro change. In addition to that, also on the weekly scale, even more severe than the death cross, is the weekly 10 going below the weekly 21. And that is if I take off price here. You can just see this crap for yourself. Go back to the beginning of time. And what does this do? Boom, 2015 or 2013 through 2016. See that? Look. So it crossed down. So from the cross, boom, 37. One cross. From the next cross, 75%. From the next cross, 25%. I'll literally show you all the crosses in all of Bitcoin history. From the cross, 67%. From the cross, 27%. From the cross, 53%. From the cross on the Wyckoff, which was much, like price had already fallen down before it crossed. So this is where price made the EMA's cross instead of the cross influencing price to crash. Does that make sense? But it's still, from the cross, after the cross, it's still poked down 33%. Even though price had already gone like almost to its lowest point, and price dragged the EMA instead of the EMA dragging price. It still went down 33%. Even though the force of the move already happened. From the cross from the 69K top, 69%. So you look over here, it hasn't crossed yet, but you see how big of a deal this is? So we have a weekly trend broken, and this shit getting ready to cross. Micro timeframes. Bitcoin has a chance to power through that cross as long as it's over the weekly 200. So there is some hope here. The weekly 200 EMA is being used as support more than it is resistance. And the last time Bitcoin went below, just recently when it came back up to interact with it, so went below, came back up to interact, it never used it as resistance, which means that statistically increases the probability that on a micro time frame, so the shelf life of what I'm about to say only lasts 2 days or less. So this doesn't mean off to the bull market what I'm about to say. It means on Wednesday at this exact time, what I'm about to say expired. No, on Thursday. I forgot what day it was. So in 48 hours from now at 11 a.m. New York time on Thursday the 14th, what I'm about to say expires. The fact that the weekly 200 was not used as resistance on the way back up, per my micro candle ricochet tutorial number 8 in the Cryptillion tutorial section on my Discord. This means that it drastically increases the probability that this was a downside fake out, a mini bear trap. Micro timeframes, what I just said expires. The probability stuff that I just said expires on Thursday. So what that means is, the next time that Bitcoin price goes below the weekly 200 EMA, you folks who don't want downside, or actually folks who strongly don't want downside, and folks that strongly do want downside, because you know this is where the next trade is going to be for the downside. Like, you're going to get a good trade set up off of here. If price comes below here and starts using it as resistance, bumping its head on it in whatever way, or maybe makes a higher low to the previous low and can't get back above it, so it comes back down, higher low, boom, gets squeezed, boom, something like that. It just keeps hitting its head on that line. Let me make that one orange. Okay. So imagine this line is orange. If it keeps hitting its head on it, then that undoes the probabilities that this was a bear trap. Rather, that means that all what's happening now is a mini bull trap. So, or this could just be, pure volatility, and volatility's picking up, right? So there are a few things going on here, but as of right now, because there was no resistance on the way back up, increase the probability this is a micro time frame bear trap. Folks taking on longs, and perhaps they're going to give up the longs to take full profit at the monthly 10 EMA, which is at 26,850 right now. This move looks like it has enough power to flirt with this cross somewhere close to 27,500. So does 27,500 stack up on my micro time frame? Yeah. What else is at the 27,500 range? The monthly 21, which is bearishly associated with the monthly 10. Monthly 10 EMA and monthly 21 EMA are bearishly crossed, and they haven't uncrossed, and that's the first time ever in the history of Bitcoin during a bear market, which is another worse than a daily death cross. Look. I'm now on the monthly chart, even though it says weekly. Look, all previous bear markets. Check it out. 2014 through 2016. This monthly 10 went below the 21, got back above, price stayed above the band. The entire time stayed above it. Same thing with 2014. Only one monthly closure below that band after it crossed back up. Coronavirus only closed one candle below it without uncrossing the weekly 10, going back below the weekly 21. That did not happen even with coronavirus. For context, not even coronavirus could uncross this, right? I can't stress this enough. So all of this rally could not cross it to the upside. And this has never happened before. So that means that, okay, so what does this mean? It means Tim clicks the wrong freaking buttons. This means that it's extra bad if you've already been in altcoins. Like, this is worse than all that daily death cross stuff going on. This has never happened before. Therefore, the chance of being in some type of bull market, it's not zero. It's just looking at prior stuff. It's just not happening right now. Does that make sense? This is all, like, I've shown you three things that either are, the weekly trend is probably on equal standing as a daily 50 and 200 death cross. MA, simple moving average. Roughly on the same playing field. But the weekly 10 and 21 getting ready to bearishly cross and the monthly 10 and 21 already being bearishly crossed and not uncrossing are more severe than a daily death cross. It is worse news. So I need you, for altcoin holders currently and the recent purchasers of them, I need you to consider the information that I've given you. I'm not telling you to sell. I'm not saying that. I'm saying strongly consider the information that I've given to you in this video and ask yourself those two questions that I asked you earlier. Particularly the second one. The fact that I bought altcoins, does that change where Bitcoin will go? No, it doesn't. So look at the charts, look at what it's saying on the long-term time frames, and it's not bullish long-term right now. It's simply not there. You can't deny it. So keep that all in mind. I will see you on the flip side. Take her easy. You just got typified. Whoa, whoa. Ah!